When we first got here, the church was set up in a very traditional style, had the pews that kind of ran this way, and everything was facing narrow and long ways this way. This was all choir loft. We were looking forward to having more people, so we opened up the space a lot. We turned it sideways, long ways, and knocked out a couple of the administrative offices to lengthen the sanctuary. And then we just turned everything this way. It's a real intimate setting. I love preaching here. It just feels very close with each person here, and we just really like the way that it was done. It was Crossway Church in Sulphur, Oklahoma, that really talked to us about doing it this way and helped us do it, gave us a lot of the funds to do it. They sent people up to help, and they've just been a huge support for us in this whole process. A little over 2 years ago now, we were asked to pray about coming to Albia to plant a church. That they had a building that they were closing down and or had closed down, and there wasn't much of the congregation left there, just about 4 people before they actually closed the doors. And so we prayed about coming here. We prayed about, we visited several times, and we kind of fell in love with the community. And so we decided to make the move to come here, really not knowing a whole lot, looking back about what resources we had and what we didn't have. And so we really just sort of trusted God that He would provide everything. And I'll be honest with you, throughout the process, there were many times when I said to myself and those who were close to us, I just don't know how this is going to happen. And every step of the way, God provided not only the resources, but the people, the tools, the support, and so much so that I really felt guilty about even having any doubt whatsoever. And so God's been really good to us, and we just had so many people partner with us in the process, so many great churches. From the very beginning, First Family Church in Ankeny, who is very near and dear to our hearts. We were part of that church plant many years ago. I think it was 2004, and they helped get us in the house, which needed quite a bit of work when we first came here, the parsonage, and so they were just a huge blessing to us. Not only supported us financially, but sent help and a lot of prayers and a lot of support. And so we're just so grateful for them. Grace West Church that we attended in West Des Moines for years when we lived in Des Moines years ago, not only sent funds, but also people to come down and help. And they were just a huge blessing to us. One of our sister churches here in Cornerstone Church in Sheraton, they continue, just like the rest of them, to be a huge blessing. They're just about 30 miles down the road, and they were very instrumental in helping us get in and sending help and people and hands and feet to help us get started. They sent funds. Even still today, we partner in things. I really feel like if there's anything we ever needed or if they needed, they'd always have people. We have a fall festival coming up soon, and they're sending people over to help with that. And so we just feel really, really blessed by them, and so thankful and grateful for them. There's been many churches. We had a group from Spartanburg, South Carolina, who came up in about 3 months before we launched, helped canvass the town, help us reach out during restoration days in Albia. And so many of our core group that we have here today before we started was a result of that weekend, of them coming up and helping, and not only bringing funds, but also just contributing with work and labor and hands. And so much of this Paint Rock church in Tennessee sending funds and their prayers, and so many others. Of course, the BCI was just a huge help in not only getting us in, directing us, support, help. North American Mission Board has backed us just in an immense and tremendous way. I don't know that any of this really would have been possible without any one of them. So the idea of churches helping churches is just been such a blessing for us, and so we're so thankful for each and every one of them. When we first got here, the church had pews, and we took those out, not really realizing how expensive chairs were. And we always wanted to have chairs like these, but we didn't really have any idea what they cost. And so when we first took the pews out, there was a church, Grand Avenue Baptist Church in Ames, that was willing to donate and give these chairs to us. Initially, we went up and got 165 of them, and they called a week or two later and said, you can have the rest of them. I think total in all, there was 240, 250 some of these chairs. And so I was just curious what these chairs cost, and so I got online. I started to do some checking. I think at a minimum they were about $65 a piece, and so that would have cost us at least $13,000 to have these chairs. We didn't even realize it. And so Grant Avenue Baptist was a huge blessing to us there, and it's just one more example of churches doing what they can do. And we had no association with them other than just being partner churches with the BCI, and so. But they probably have no idea what a blessing that they were to us, and so we thank you guys for that. So a lot of times people think that you have to have this huge church or an immense budget to contribute towards missions and church planning, and that's just not really true. Restoration Church in Adel, Iowa, prior to our launch, about a week or two before we launched, they'd had their first service maybe a week or two prior to that, and they brought down a handful of people, and they were a huge help to us, and they had really just been meeting a very short time, and so it wasn't that it was a resource thing, but it was a hands and feet thing that was greatly needed. And prior to our launch, coming up and helping us in a great way that was just so valuable to us and needed. And I think so many of us can feel a lot of those needs and we don't even realize it. And so I'm thankful for them and just doing what they can do. And we want to be the same way. We want to be able to help and reach out to churches and do what we can do, whatever that is. And so I think if we all do this, I think we can really see the gospel flourish in Iowa. One of the very special things we just celebrated here a week or two ago was, if there's such a thing, our matriarch around here, Pauline, she just turned 91. She was one of the two people that were left from First Baptist Church that came and joined us here at First Family. She's an amazing lady. She's kind of lived all over the country. And one of the great things that we celebrated was not only all the people who helped plant the church, but those who were at First Baptist Church when they closed. They could have done all sorts of things with the building. They could have sold it, give the funds to missions, but their heart was really to see the gospel flourish here in Albia. And so they just thought the best thing for them to do was to leave the building to a church that wanted to come and restart. And so I'm so thankful that they did, and grateful for their vision to see and not throw the towel in on Albia, but to continue to see the gospel grow here. And so we celebrated her and just their wisdom, and just very thankful for them and how they felt that it was God's leading for them to not give up on Albia. And so we're grateful and we're very thankful to them. And so that's just been an amazing thing to see. And she's just an amazing woman to have around here at the church. So her and Andrew Estes, who used to be the pastor here 2 or 3 pastors ago, are the two that came with the church. And they've just been such a blessing for us here at First Family. Our first service here, we were praying that God would have at least 100 people show up and join us for our first service and celebrate with us all that the Lord has done. And we were blown away when that morning the cars just kept flooding in, and people just kept coming through the door. And 220 at least was the consensus for head counts that actually showed up to celebrate with us that first Sunday in Albia, Iowa. To have 220 plus people come and celebrate and worship with us was just an amazing thing. And so God blessed us incredibly in that first service and continued to throughout the process. So we're so thankful for all of that and all that He's done. Why did we decide to plant in Albia, Iowa? When we were in Missouri, pastoring there, in our mind we thought that we would move back to Tennessee. And we were asked to pray about planting here. We were praying about it. Not right away. It took some time. We kind of had our heart set on actually going back to Tennessee. And I hear a lot of planters, and I was sort of jealous that they really had this city that was on their heart, and they just really felt called to plant in that certain city. And initially, it wasn't that way for us. It did become that. But initially, we've seen that that's where God was opening the door for us. And we felt like that's what God wanted us to do. And it took a little bit of time for us to get on board with that. We love Albia. It's an amazing city. We love the people. We've made friendships here that have just blessed us incredibly. But initially, it was just we felt like that's where God was opening the door. And so we began to walk through it. And the love for the city, the burden for the city, all those things came later. Initially, that's where we felt God needed us to go, or not needed us to, but wanted us to go. We had a great deal of labor for the entryway and the sanctuary. We did a little bit of work in the fellowship hall, but not much, mostly paint. But there was a great deal. New flooring, new roof. This was dropped down. We put in drywall. If you notice, like, we're still not done. We have stain that still needs to be done. We have trim that we haven't put up. We have some drywall up here that we hadn't finished, but it's functional. And same way with the sanctuary area, we have trim that still needs to be put up. But we always joke often, and we tell the congregation that we're not under any false pretenses that the reason why they come to church here is because how fancy our building is. The improvements are immense, but we still have a lot of work to do. So it's an ongoing thing. And I'm grateful that no one really cares, that they're always walking into some degree at somewhere in the church. There's a construction zone, and it works. It doesn't bother anybody. And I think most people are excited to see the work that's being done. We had a lot of stuff done. We had someone build this coffee bar for us. We had the floors all redone. A lot of the chairs were donated and given. We put this new backdrop on. This was originally brick behind here. The first church actually added the entryway here even after the initial building was built. So we have, right now currently, we have our kitchen that's under construction, and we're redoing walls and kitchen. We're adding a plumbing that's coming up here. We're adding a countertop and a sink over there that's going to go upstairs to the youth room. That'll add a bathroom and a half kitchen up there. We're taking out this wall and putting new support beams and a header in, where we'll have a new countertop serving area here that's mobile, that can be pushed out and back in. One of the things that we really hold dear to our hearts here at First Family in Albia are potlucks. They're extremely important here for us, and so we have a great time with that. But no, really, fellowship's a really big deal here, and we don't need much of an excuse to get together and break bread and enjoy one another's company. When we first got here, we were excited to see the size of the youth room. It had some really old carpet, and we just got this new flooring put down. A lot of people donating things just for the kids to do and have fun, and so we're not totally done by any means, but we're adding a half kitchen and a restroom right over here in this area, and a study area. But we've set this up, and the idea is to have a place where the kids want to be, where the kids want to spend time. We want to do a lot of fifth quarter stuff, maybe after ball games, to where we have kids who are unchurched, a place where they want to come and hang out with supervision. And we have a great youth pastor who has a passion for reaching kids for the gospel, and so where he can sort of bridge that gap and start conversations that will hopefully lead to kids being saved. And so we're investing a lot of time and energy into this to just make this a special place. My hope for each one of us is that you can see the value in being involved in church planting. Sometimes we think it has to be in some huge, giant financial way, but I hope you can see that whatever you can do, however God's blessed you, whatever gifts, tools, resources that you have, people, hands, feet, there's lots of ways. Helping reach out in each community. Give something that you have at the church that you no longer need that maybe another church would. There's lots of ways that we can all be involved. I just hope that each and every one of us see the value in getting involved. Churches, helping churches reach their community with the gospel. And so I just want to say to all of those who have helped us here at First Family Church in Albia, how grateful we are and how needed each and every church, and in every way that they helped, what a blessing it was to us.